Hi everybody and welcome to UKGN Network. I'm Zoidberg, here to bring you a look at the games that helped turn Sony into arguably the #1 name in console gaming. Before Sony, the console industry was all about Nintendo versus Sega. Then along came PlayStation, and gamers everywhere had something genuinely new and exciting to desire. That was 1995, and in the 25 years since, we've seen 6 different gaming devices carry the PlayStation name. And with the 7th having just arrived in UK stores, we thought what better time to look back at the launch of each device, and specifically, the games that arrived with them. What follows is a chronological look at what we at UKGN Network consider to be the 10 best games that helped launch PlayStation consoles. So sit back and let me take you on a journey through gaming history. Why not share your memories and choices in the comments? Number 1. Wipeout. With its visual style produced by the Designers Republic and pumping club soundtrack courtesy of artists like the Future Sound of London and the Chemical Brothers, no other game encapsulated the new PlayStation attitude more than Wipeout from Psygnosis. This was one of the first games that absolutely demanded you set up your sound through the best speaker system that you had. We'd seen futuristic races before, but this easily eclipsed them all thanks to tight controls and great track design. Yes, the learning curve was steep, but it was also incredibly rewarding too. It's hard to imagine it now, but the 3D visuals were a real showstopper to gamers who had rarely seen such graphics outside of an arcade. This was the type of game that, when it was shown in demo pods in Dixon's, customers would just stand there and watch. For many people, even today, when you think PlayStation, you think Wipeout, and that's a testament to just how good and important this game was. Number 2. Rapid Reload. Even with relatively few games available on day one, it's hard not to see why Rapid Reload got overlooked. Looking very much like a game from the 16-bit era, it didn't have any of the flashy new 3D graphics that games sitting on the shelf beside it could boast. So why would anyone want to play this when they could be playing Jumping Flash instead? Well, for starters, this game's actually fun. I didn't even play this game until at least 2 years after getting my console, but when I did, I instantly regretted having not played it sooner. It features 6 progressively more challenging levels, a soundtrack that will burrow its way into your subconscious without you realising, and a deceptively deep weapon system. As a run and gun shooter, it's quite similar to Gunstar Heroes on the Mega Drive, and will appeal to anyone who likes Contra. Without hesitation, I can say that it's still well worth playing 25 years later. Number 3. Time Splitters. When the PlayStation 2 arrived in 2000, Time Splitters was the only game I wanted to get with my console, having figured correctly that Ridge Racer 5 and Tekken Tag would turn up second hand within a week. This first-person shooter had incredible pedigree behind it. Free Radical Design were a studio set up by many people who had worked on GoldenEye for the N64, and thankfully it did not disappoint. The history-spanning levels take in numerous locations across the story mode that could either be played solo or in co-op, and you'd want to play them over and over again thanks to the challenging AI of the enemies, but it's the competitive multiplayer that really stood out. Just like GoldenEye, the 4-player split screen provided hours and hours of fun, and even featured a level editor so players could battle it out on their own layouts. There aren't many FPS games to this day that offer such a sense of joy that you get while playing Time Splitters.
Come on, just a little bit of smuggling to start things off.
Number 4. Smuggers Run. Published by Rockstar Games and developed by Angel Studios, who would later become known as Rockstar San Diego, both Midnight Club and Smuggers Run arrived on PS2 launch day and showed what was now possible with open world racing games, but it was the latter that was easily the most enjoyable of the two. It's a driving game that challenges you to deliver contraband to a distant waypoint by travelling across a massive open world map, finding the quickest route that will cause you the least damage, all while avoiding the local law enforcement. Throwing your buggies and jeeps down hills and across rivers was hugely enjoyable, although I can still remember at least one wince-inducing plummet from a cliff when I wasn't paying attention. Excellent chaotic multiplayer modes where you fight with your friends to deliver a single piece of cargo were just the icing on the cake, making this a game that we continued to come back to for months. Number 5. SSX. Nobody was looking at an EA-published snowboarding game to be a big deal when the launch lineup was revealed, but SSX ended up being the only one to be awarded 9 out of 10 by the official PlayStation magazine, and it thoroughly deserved it. Abandoning all sense of realism when it matters, this is very much a video game first and a sports game second, meaning that it appeals to a much larger audience. Courses are full of gravity-defying twists and sky-high drops, plus the stunts that your riders can pull off as they sail through the air definitely break the laws of physics. But that's precisely what makes the game so much fun. They're also packed with alternate routes and hidden shortcuts, making you want to play them again and again, just to see what you can discover. Just like Wipeout at the dawn of the PS1, this had a vibrancy and energy that many have attempted to emulate, but none have matched in the years since. Number 6. Ridge Racer. Namco's classic arcade racing series has been synonymous with PlayStation since day one, and while the original gave gamers arcade quality in their home for the PS1, it was the PSP version, known as Ridge Racers in Japan, that stands as the most gobsmacking demonstration of system power. That's exactly what you want from a launch game, and the reason for its inclusion here. You could think of it as a greatest hits of the Ridge Racer series up to this point, as it features selected tracks from previous games, and even has the option of remixed music alongside its new compositions. There was one new thing that it introduced though. The use of nitrous boost was a first for the series, encouraging players to drift at greater angles in order to fill up 3 tanks, and give yourself a temporary burst of speed to deploy at strategic moments. It really is quite upsetting that there hasn't been a new, mainline entry in the series since Ridge Racer 7 at the launch of the PS3. Number 7. Resistance Fall of Man. Working in retail, I can clearly remember the launch of the PS3, and how, despite there being 26 games to choose from, everyone who bought the console got either MotorStorm or Resistance with it. While MotorStorm was clearly unfinished and rushed to make launch, Insomniac's alternate history first-person shooter was a great introduction to the new PlayStation. It's essentially a military shooter, but with the usual enemy soldiers replaced by a vicious alien race called the Chimera. It will forever be remembered as the game that upset Manchester City Council, with its inclusion of the city's cathedral in one of the levels. Motion controls were shoehorned in to show off the new 6-axis controller, no doubt at the behest of Sony, but thankfully they never broke the immersion like the ones in Killzone 2. The 2 sequels may technically be better games, offering a larger scope and improved visuals, but they lacked the impact and feeling of playing something new that you got from playing the original. Number 8. Everybody's Golf. Every single version of the Everybody's Golf series has been brilliant, with their bright, colourful presentation and pick up and play simplicity, but the PS Vita version was the best of the bunch at the time of the UK launch. You don't have to be a sports fan to appreciate how great this series is. This was more technically impressive than the PS3 version, which is shown here as the Vita version doesn't actually work on the PlayStation TV, made all the more remarkable by the fact that this was on a handheld console. Aside from the visual improvements, it featured a refined swing meter allowing you to concentrate on your shot placement and spin. What has made the series endure is that beneath the cutesy exterior lies a surprisingly realistic game of golf, with the wind, weather effects and terrain all affecting your ball as you'd expect, and it's absolutely perfect for a handheld system. Games like Uncharted Golden Abyss, Wipeout 2048 and Dynasty Warriors Next may have been launch games that had a greater wow factor, but none of them were as fun as this one. Number 9. Knack. It's easy to ridicule Knack. The most popular games at the time of the PS4 launch were gritty first-person shooters or huge open-world adventures, yet here was a cute platform game looking like it was aimed at kids. To dismiss it in such a way was to deny yourself one of the most enjoyable 3D platformers since the original Spyro series. The game's biggest problem is a central character who lacks personality, but this doesn't really matter as the world he inhabits has bags of it, and looks fantastic. It features some great looking levels, neat puzzles and challenging combat, and we loved every single minute of it, even if it did make us think that it was about to end, only to throw in another boss fight many times. This was a charming game that brought back fond memories of the classic 3D platformers that made the PlayStation what it is, and we'd much rather have been playing this than a new Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed any day of the week.
Shields expired.
Number 10. Rezogun. How do you define greatness? Well, let's try by talking about Rezogun from Housemarque. Here's an arcade shooter inspired by the all-time classic Defender, featuring fast action gameplay and explosions that shower the screen with voxels. It's addictive, it's simple to play and insanely deep to master. In 2013 it was revolutionary, and I'd never seen anything quite so spectacular. Sony made the brilliant decision to give it away to anyone who was a PlayStation Plus subscriber, meaning that it got played by practically everyone who bought a PlayStation 4. What makes it great is that after 7 years, it's still a game I regularly go back to and play at least once a month. You'll always feel like you can improve on your previous scores, and learning how to rescue every single human in the game means it's more than just a mindless shooter. Original Defender creator Eugene Jarvis liked it so much that he joined forces with the developer to make the truly stunning Nex Machina, but that's a story for another time. That brings our list to an end. These games were chosen by the entire UKGN team, and it's merely our collective opinion. If you have a passionate defence for why one game should have been included over another, we'd love to hear it. Either let us know in the comments, or you could join our Discord by clicking the link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe if you did. I'm Zoidberg from UK Gaming Network. Thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you again soon.